With Charles returning, I think we all know how good the new SMG is for PvP, but is it any good for PvE? Alright, so jumping right into it, this is just going to be another chill video of me just talking about the weapon, going over his perk pool, and I hope you all enjoy it. Now, if you don't know, this is going to be a aggressive frame SMG. That means it's going to be a 750 RPM, and it is Strand. Now, before the raid came out, all the Strand weapons for PvE were not the greatest. They were just kind of okay. But then the raid did drop with Rufus's Fury, and that's probably going to be by far the best Strand weapon you can take, but it is an auto rifle, and I think we all know how strong SMGs are in the current PvE meta. If you do compare this to something like the Neomuna SMG, this one is just going to be by far superior in pretty much every way, in my opinion. The only thing I would change is if this was a 900 RPM instead of a 750, but 750s are still really good. So let's just go over the perk pool. We have Rangefinder, Keep Away, Encore, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Perpetual Motion, Threat Detector, Surplus. In the second column, we have Target Lock, Kill Clip, Killing Wind, Tap the Trigger, Demolitionist, Focus Fury, and Hatchling. Now, I do want to go over the origin traits really quick since this weapon does have three, and they're going to be Alacrity, One Quiet Moment, and Field Tested. Now, as a quick rundown, Alacrity is going to give you increased reload speed, aim assist, stability, range. I think I got them all when you're the last living fire team member on your fire team. One Quiet Moment would just give you a bunch of reload speed when you're outside of combat. Honestly, not too bad for PvE if you are trying to build around it. And then Field Tested will give you some range, stability, handling, and reload speed when you defeat targets and deal damage. So kind of like Alacrity in a way, but you just have to, do damage or kill targets. Honestly, I think this is probably going to be the best origin trait for both PvE and PvP, so I would recommend just taking this. Now, I know this video is primarily dedicated towards PvE, but if you were curious for PvP, things like Rangefinder, Keep Away, Encore, Dynamic Sway, Perpetual Motion, Threat Detector, and Surplus, literally all the perks in the first column are really, really good for PvE. And I'm not too tapped into PvP like I used to be, but I'm hearing things that Target Lock is also a very strong perk in PvP. Kill Clip's also really good. Killing Wind, Tap the Trigger. Demo's not even a bad option. Focus Fury is probably the weakest option. I guess Hatchling is kind of okay, but literally all of these perks are very, very good for PvP. Like pretty much any role of this gun is going to be really good. What I think probably what you're going to want to look out for is obviously Rangefinder, and I think Target Lock is going to be the best in slot perk, or if you just want to actually perk like Tap the Trigger, and then obviously get as much range stability as possible for whatever you play on. Okay, but jumping into PvE, in these first columns, I always just recommend whatever feels good for you. If you're a console player, definitely go more stability. If you're a mouse and keyboard player, if you want to go more range, you can do that. Or if you just want more handling for the gun, just to make the gun feel a little bit faster because you're just playing PvE, you don't really need to buff the other stats up too much. Just go with whatever feels good for you. Now, I will make a recommendation in the next column because you can go with something like Flare Magwell to get that reload speed up. But if you do go with armor piercing rounds, these actually do 5% more damage to shields. This will come in handy because with Strand weapons not doing a lot of damage to shields now, since they are technically counting like stasis and Strand weapons as energy weapons now, this means you can kind of compensate that for a little bit. So I honestly would highly recommend armor piercing rounds in this slot if you are going to use it for PvE, but literally anything else will work if you don't want to take that. Ricochet rounds is also a fun option just to make your bullets bounce around, but I would definitely go with armor piercing if I was you. Now, in this first column, you're typically always looking for a reload speed perk, and if possible, a damage perk. So you don't really need things like accuracy or rangefinder, dynamic sway. Keep Away is barely going to be procced in PvE. Encore is, again, just that range and stability. So your reload perks are going to be Perpetual Motion, Threat Detector, and Surplus. Surplus is not a bad option. I personally don't like it as much because you have to have those abilities up. Perpetual Motion is a pretty good option if you're moving around a lot, which you normally always do in PvE anyway, but I think Threat Detector is going to be the go-to perk for this. Threat Detector has always been a great perk on pretty much any SMG in the game. You're always close to enemies as it is, so you're just always going to get that increased reload speed since you are using a close range weapon. So these three are going to be your go-to options. For me personally, I would highly recommend Threat Detector and what I'm going to be looking out for. Now, this next column, Target Lock's not even that bad of an option. Kill Clip's also really good now that you can constantly refresh it over and over again. That means you could just get one kill, reload it, and you don't have to wait that long timer like you used to. Demo is also a pretty good option if you are playing into a grenade build. The only problem is Rufus's Fury from the raid exists, so I would honestly just recommend using that if you want to have a demo gun. And then obviously the other outlier is going to be hatchling, because hatchling is going to be really good paired with Strand, so you can make those threat lanes. And this is probably going to be your best weapon to do that right now, other than maybe the Raid auto rifle. Focus Fury, I guess, is an honorable mention, but let's be honest, most of the time not a lot of people are going to take this on their primary weapon when you have other perks. So for me, my go-to, since I am going to be playing into Strand with this weapon, is for sure going to be hatchling. Having threat detector hatchling get that reload speed and the ability to always spawn threat lanes with a very solid archetype SMG for PvE is going to be really good. SMGs are currently honestly the only primary weapon really worth using in the game, because primary weapons need such a huge buff, and I think they are going to be doing that. But right now, this will definitely put in work so you can always have those threat lanes around. But if you don't even want to play into that, if you want to run something like demo, you can also do that. So you're really trying to play into your grappling hook on Hunter, you know, threat detector demo is going to be a good option for that as well. You can grapple in, you're going to get that threat detector proc. Demo is going to give you that grapple back a lot faster, and it's also Strand, so you can play into all the artifact mods this season with like unraveling rounds. And then if you want a damage perk, you can go with kill clip. But I think definitely threat detector demo for pretty much just a solid Strand weapon is going to be the way to go, or threat detector hatchling if you are playing into a threat lane build on your warlock. And 100% go with Filp Tacit, because this is going to act as a mini feeding frenzy or outlaw, because when you defeat those targets or deal damage to them, you are going to get that increased reload speed. The other stats this gives doesn't matter too much with the weapon. Obviously getting more range stability and handling is always going to be good, but for PvE you're mainly focused on that reload speed. So pairing all that together, this is going to be a very solid Strand weapon for PvE, arguably the best Strand weapon for PvE, which is kind of funny because it is in a PvP game mode. But things like that happen. You have things like Found Verdict, which is a PvE shotgun that is arguably one of the best shotguns for PvP. They flip-flop so they can try to get everybody in every single player base to try out different things. And I think this is something PvE players should look out for if you are diving into trials. I'm pretty sure they also have changed trials so you can just get a 7-win card and get an adept weapon, so you don't actually have to go flawless, which is really cool. So, you know, look out for that as well. And with that knowledge, if you do get an adept version, you can slide on all these adept mods, but in reality, I think for the most part, I probably would still just stick to a minor spec mod to increase the damage to red bar. So that's mainly what you're using a primary weapon for. Unfortunately, there's no like minor spec equivalent to the adept big one spec, but if you want to take this, you could, or if you just want to take something like increased reload speed, you could do that as well. But I think minor spec is going to be the go-to option, and then just having something like reload speed masterwork, just so you can get that reload up, and since it is adept, you will get all the other stats as well. So if you get extremely lucky and get this roll, I would definitely keep it. Maybe you're farming for a PvP one and this happens to drop for you, just be sure to hang on to it. If you are normally a PvP player that doesn't really stick to PvE a lot, this is going to be a very good option. All right, I think that's going to do it all for me for the Immortal SMG. Let me know what you all think about in the comments below, and as always, if y'all enjoy to learn anything new, consider subscribing, dropping a like, turn notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord, follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.